Hey, this is Dr. Tom Rogers at Performance Medicine with a special guest here today. Good friend. I've known him for a couple years. He has an amazing story to tell about a lot of things, but the thing we're going to talk about today is a product that his name is Steve Nice, and the thing I want to talk about today is a product that I've been using for, I guess, over a year now. You've known it as GlutenShield. And the name has been changed to protect the innocent, but actually because it's a better description of the product. It's now called DigestShield. You recognize the bottle because it looks just like the GlutenShield that we had for years. I say years. How long has this been out, Steve?
4 years.
Okay, so it has been years. I'll tell you, in my practice of medicine, I do a lot of things with, of course, integrative functional medicine. I see a lot of autoimmune diseases. I try to prevent illnesses, and I tell all my patients everything starts with the gut. And as a doctor of practice for 36 years, a lot of times people come to us with various problems. They have gut problems. They don't digest well. They're constipated. They have bloating, gas, stomach cramps, diarrhea. And really, it's at the root of a lot of medical problems, especially autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, psoriasis. It's not just irritable bowel that this can cause, or celiac, or colitis, or Crohn's disease. It's at the base. As a matter of fact, 70% of your immune system is located in your stomach, not in your brain. It's in your gut, where you have more DNA in your gut than you have your own DNA by millions. As a matter of fact, 99% of the DNA in your body is not yours. It's gut bacteria. So the balancing of what we call the microbiome is so important. In other words, you only have about 1% of your DNA. The rest of it's microbes that are not even yours. So, and they determine your health. All the way from, here's a great example of this. They've found out that you can, we do a lot of work with weight loss. I fight obesity and try to get people lean. But they can take a stool sample. This sounds kind of gross, but they can take a stool sample of a thin person and introduce it into the stool of an obese person, and the obese person gets lean. They do the opposite. The opposite happens. So it all has to do with your microbiome. So let's start thinking about the gut. Now, when Steve came by a year and a half, 2 years ago to my office trying to get me to use a product, I thought, well, here's another drug rep at my door at the 30 a day that come by. But somehow this piqued my interest because I do so much stuff with guts, and nobody's ever really given me a good gut product. Never. Even the GI docs. They, somebody, if we can't figure out what's going on with their gut, we may we may try some antispasmodics or some probiotics, or maybe try to modify their diet by putting them on a gluten-free diet, or maybe a dairy-free, soy-free, maybe nightshade-free diet. Corn's another bad one. We do a lot of food allergy testing. But nobody ever really brought me a product that I thought may work. Now, we've used a lot of antispasmodics over the years, but they don't really work. And the thing you got to realize is that people have different tolerances to different foods. We do a lot of food sensitivity tests in our clinics. So when you came by, I was a little skeptical. Is this just another probiotic? How many billion CFUs do you need in a probiotic? Do you need a prebiotic with it? Which turns out you do. Mm-hmm. So he brought me this thing, and I know I'm doing all the talking, but he brought me this thing that has 5 things in it that work for almost every gut problem that I've used it for. I take this, my whole family takes it. I sound like a salesman. I'm really I love this product, probably more than any vitamin or over-the-counter I've ever prescribed. I love it. And it's now called DigestShield because we used to call it GlutenShield, which made you think that, well, this is just for people with a gluten problem, which 50% of Americans do have a gluten problem. You don't have to have celiac to have a gluten sensitivity. But anyway, this product has a prebiotic, a probiotic with, in my opinion, the right amount of CFUs. It's got 10 billion, if I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a prebiotic, it has a probiotic, it has digestive enzymes to help you break down fat. And as you know, if you've listened to any of my podcasts or you come to see me, I'm big on a high-fat diet, low-carb, moderate protein for almost everybody. So really, you need to be eating more fats. You're not going to lose fat without eating fat. It's ironic, but it's very true. Fats are much better for you than carbs. You cannot live without fats or proteins. You can live with zero carbs. So that's why I like low-carb diets, high-fat, moderate protein. But anyway, so this thing has digestive enzymes that help you break down fats. Take, for instance, somebody that has their gallbladder's been taken out. They can't digest fats. They can't emulsify fats. So they need digestive enzymes. And really, so does everybody. Everybody needs digestive enzymes. It also has a gluten blocker. So many people cannot tolerate glutens. Half of Americans can't. And those same half can't tolerate dairy products. Lactose intolerance is so common. The older I get, the more lactose intolerant I get. And believe it or not, I can drink a milkshake with this stuff, and there's no way. I'd be sick for 3 days if I didn't. But anyway, so it has the 5 things in it, all in one, very affordable pill that you take. It's over the counter. But this is just one thing that I'm really enthusiastic about. And I would honestly tell you, out of all the products I've ever had over the counter that I have in my office, this is number one. I don't think I've ever recommended this to a patient that they haven't, number one, gotten it, number two, came back for more. I don't even have to ask them. They just come back for more. And during that time when you change the name from GlutenShield to DigestShield, which I think is great, there was a time when we couldn't get it for about a month. Is that right?
That's correct.
Well, I had so many calls and so many anxious people thinking they would never get that again, that they were really kind of upset with me. So I just blame it on you guys. But anyway, it's now out as DigestShield. Tell me your experience a little bit. I'm doing all the talking, but because I'm excited, obviously, about the product. But how's this thing doing?
Well, that was a beautiful endorsement, and I'm grateful to you for that. But my experience has just been very much like yours, where I suffered from gluten sensitivity. I also suffered from a reaction to dairy, and I needed something for myself. And we looked around, and my wife had the same problem, and we couldn't find anything out there. So we started talking to some scientists, and we ended up at ETSU talking to a doctor over there, Dr. Andy Clark, and he took it upon himself to build a small team, Dr. Charles Collins, Dr. Audrey DePelto, and this team actually started doing research on what was out there and what was in the marketplace, what types of things were available to address allergies to different foods, and they started just gelling this idea to add the digestive enzymes, as you mentioned, the prebiotics and the probiotics. The prebiotics to feed the probiotics. But then all of a sudden we've got something that's addressing all kinds of things, from gluten intolerance to dairy intolerance to casein intolerance. And suddenly we have a pan-digestive and something that's a digestive powerhouse that isn't just for gluten sensitivity. So we decided to change the name to DigestShield.
I love it. All in one, 5 things. You take one affordable pill a day. Some people have to take 2. I generally take it about 30 minutes before I eat. I just have to take it once a day. Sometimes if I know I'm going to eat a little off the grid, I will definitely take it twice a day. Mm-hmm. That day I decided to try a chocolate malt. I won't tell you where I got it, but it's the most amazing chocolate malts. I used to love them as a kid. Haven't drank one of those in 20 years. I took 2 that day, and I had no problems at all. So I don't have to take my probiotic anymore. I never really took a prebiotic because I didn't really know that probiotic needed food for itself, which it does. So now that I'm analyzing a lot of people's microbiomes through some of the stool testing that we do, I kind of find out which bacteria are good and which are bad. And it just seems to me to be the perfect amount of probiotics in there. And like I say, most people have an issue with dairy and glutens. And it's not going to show up on a routine lab test. I can't tell you how many people think they have celiac problem, and they don't because their test is negative. But I'll guarantee you, they have a problem with it. There's just a spectrum of severities that lines the plane with this thing. So the name's been changed. DigestShield. Come into one of our offices. I think this thing has a potential to just blow it out worldwide. I really do. That's how much I believe in this thing, Steve. And I appreciate you coming by today. Any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me or ask Steve. And you're certainly going to see this in all my offices. And I just hope we can keep it coming, which I know we can.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. I appreciate you, sir.
Thanks, Steve. We'll see you guys next time. Appreciate it.